Man, this lady loves buses. Kamala Harris, she loves buses the way Joe Biden loves trains. I mean, a Greyhound to Kamala is like Amtrak to Joe. And every time she has a rally, every time she goes anywhere, there's not just one bus, but multiple buses, dozens and dozens of these things. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why are there all of these buses at Kamala Harris rallies? Is it because she's trying to get the bus drivers union to support her campaign? Is it because she's trying to get Greyhound employees to vote Harris Walz in 2024? Or is it that when she goes to places like North Carolina, where she was yesterday, she can't get actual North Carolinians to come out and support her, so she has to bus them in from, I don't know, Virginia, Georgia, maybe other places we don't know. But anyway, we're going to get into all that. We have some proof too from the internet. We have some video footage that was surprisingly deleted not surprisingly deleted, just real unsurprisingly deleted when people started to point out, man, Kamala Harris, she's always got these. In fact, here it is. Look, I'm just going to start with it. There it is. That's North Carolina yesterday, where Kamala Harris was having a rally, and one of these Democrat operatives, Joshua something or other, he posted this on Twitter. He posted it on an X, and he said, look at all these enthusiastic Kamala Harris supporters. Look at all these people supporting Kamala for president. And then a whole bunch, a lot of these internet sleuths, or just people that are observant and also very snarky, pointed out, wait a minute, that's a lot of there's a lot of buses there. What are all those buses doing at the Kamala Harris rally? And then the speculation began that Kamala Harris is busing people in over and over and over again because she just can't draw the crowds on her own. And he deleted it. He took it off. It's gone. However, it's the internet, so nothing's ever really gone. You know, it's like the parents tell their kids, don't ever post anything on the internet because, you know, it never really disappears. Once you put something online, it's there forever. And I can attest to that. That is true. There's some stuff about me online that I wish weren't, but hey, you know what? Them's the breaks. You make your bed and you lie in it. That's what I always say. That's what in fact, I don't do. I mean, my wife, I think, makes my bed, but I lie in it. So, you know, and we're a couple. We're like, you know, we're two. In the eyes of God, we are one person. So her making the bed, it's just like me making the bed. Yeah, that's how I see it. Speaking of beds. Speaking of beds, Tim Walz had a moment at this rally yesterday. That's not the only thing Kamala Harris has been busted doing. There's a lot of other stuff she's been busted doing. We're going to get to all of that. We're going to get to Donald Trump's rally yesterday, too, in Tucson, Arizona, which was also jam-packed. Not a single bus in sight, I'd like to point out. And that's a repeated thing. Every time, I've been to a lot of Donald Trump rallies, like so many Donald Trump rallies. I couldn't even count on two hands how many Donald Trump rallies. I would need like an abacus or something to accurately figure out and tell you how many Donald Trump rallies I've actually attended in my life. It's that numerous. And you see a lot of things at Donald Trump rallies. First of all, you see a lot of patriotic Donald Trump supporters. You see a lot of red MAGA hats. You see a lot of pickup trucks in the parking lot, a lot of minivans. I see a lot of motorcycles from time to time. And you see thousands and thousands of people waiting outside. Thousands and thousands of people waiting in line. You see all these folks, and they are just so excited to save America, so excited to hear what Donald Trump has to say, so excited to chant USA, USA, and lock her up, and 4 more years, and all that other great stuff. They're thrilled to be there. The one thing you don't see, though, are buses. And you don't see anybody, maybe one bus, but in fact, I'll be honest with you, I can't recall ever seeing a bus at a Donald Trump rally, but at Kamala Harris's rallies, there are so many buses. She has more buses at her rallies than she has agenda items and policy propositions on her website. That's how many buses there are at these rallies. And it wasn't just North Carolina. Do you remember a couple weeks ago, this woman in New Hampshire? Kamala had to go back to New Hampshire because her numbers in New Hampshire were slipping. Kamala Harris, she had to pull up. She was in Michigan. She was in Pennsylvania. She was in Wisconsin. She was in all the battleground states. She was in Georgia like 3 times. People in Georgia are like, all right, lady, we get it. You want our votes. Please leave. She was in Georgia all the time. And so now she had to go to New Hampshire a couple weeks ago because New Hampshire was slipping through her little fingers. The New Hampshire numbers weren't as strong as everyone was saying. New Hampshire was no longer a blue state. It had turned purple. a lovely shade of violet, if you will. And so Kamala Harris's campaign was like, dude, we can't lose New Hampshire. This is going to come down to every single state. In fact, I showed you the math. If Donald Trump wins all the Sun Belt states and Kamala Harris wins all the Rust Belt states, then it comes down to New Hampshire. And those 4 little electoral votes in New Hampshire could deliver the presidency to either one of these candidates if the chips fall in this various strange, bizarre pattern. So New Hampshire's always important. And Kamala Harris saw that it was leaning toward Donald Trump. So she went over there for a rally, couldn't get enough people in New Hampshire. So you know what they did? They bussed in people from Massachusetts. And one lucky woman, a Trump supporter, got video of it. All these yellow Yankee buses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We counted a dozen. And there could have been more. And they're all Yankee buses from Massachusetts. She stopped. She got a close-up of the license plate, which clearly said Massachusetts. This is a recurring theme with Kamala Harris. She's been busted in New Hampshire. She's been busted in North Carolina. And whenever you see one of these large crowds, you'll notice that in the parking lot, it looks like the parking lot of a Buc-ee's during tourist season in Florida. And if you don't know what Buc-ee's is, I feel really bad for you. Listen, we've got so much stuff we've got to get into. Tim Walz. I'll tell you about Tim Walz having a day here in just a minute. And Donald Trump came up, speaking of policy positions, with another fantastic way to help everyday, ordinary Americans and bolster our economy at the same time. It's a plan that if Kamala Harris, man, if she hasn't stolen it yet, it's just a matter of time. It's just give her a couple minutes. Because if Kamala Harris has not yet stolen Donald Trump's latest economic genius, stroke of genius, she'll do it by the time her next, after they start bussing in people for her next rally, she'll get up on stage and I'm sure she'll claim it. She'll claim it as her own. And then there's this really strange report from Senator Blumenthal where's he from? Connecticut. He's the weird guy with the bad plastic surgery, but he said something about the Secret Service, which was shocking. Shocking that it's shocking what he said about the Secret Service, but it's also shocking that a Democrat would say something like that to the media about the Secret Service. We're going to get to all of this stuff and more, but I do want to start off with a new TikTok trend. You may remember the old TikTok trend when Kamala Harris was first announced as the replacement nominee. You know, it's like Big Brother. They vetoed Joe Biden, so they had to pick a new nominee, and they put Kamala Harris up on the block. So Kamala Harris was the new nominee, and they took to TikTok because she had a lot of questionable things in her past, like that idiotic thing she said about falling out of a coconut tree.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Yeah. So what they did was they took that and they kind of changed it and rearranged it, and they turned it into like a cool TikTok trend.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
And it was a way to get TikTok to try to make Kamala Harris look cool, which I know that TikTok's a great app, and I know that the Chinese are capable of doing all kinds of things. But it's going to take a lot more than just some TikToks to try to make Kamala Harris cool. Well, now the TikTok trend has trended toward Donald Trump. And it's all based on what he said last week in the debate about Springfield, Ohio. And these places in Ohio where 20,000 plus Haitian immigrants have been, boom, dumped off, right? The Kamala Harris, Joe Biden administration imported these Haitian immigrants, took them right to Ohio, dumped them in Springfield, no money, no jobs, no education, no housing, no nothing. Just said, here you go, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya. And then what they did was they just left them to their own devices. So these Haitian immigrants do what Haitian people do when they're hungry is they go and they hunt. But in Ohio, the only thing you can hunt are the ducks and the geese from the local park. And oh yes, the neighborhood felines and canines, the pets of your new neighbors. Cats and dogs in Springfield, Ohio are now, became fair game as lunch meat for these thousands and thousands of Haitians that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden dumped there. And Donald Trump brought that up. Well, somebody on TikTok remixed it, edited it, threw a beat behind it, and it has now become the latest TikTok trend. People are dancing to it. People are posting photos of their dogs and cats to it. It's really It's really phenomenal. And if you haven't heard it yet, I think it's called Eat the Cat.
They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. Eat the cat, eat the cat, eat the cat, eat the cat. Eat the cat, eat the cat, eat the cat. Eat the cat, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat, eat the cat.
Eat the cat.
The dogs,
oh, it's looping. Hang on.
Eat the cat.
Hang on. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. Woo!
They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs.
Eat the cat. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. Yeah, that's a new. It's Haitian. What was the name? Is there some guy's name? It looks like it said Haitian J.
They're eating the dogs.
J Haitian 5. Yes. Jay Haitian 5 came up with that remix, and now it's everywhere, man. It is phenomenal. And the interesting thing about this is that it puts Donald Trump back in the spotlight. That Donald Trump has now retaken TikTok. Donald Trump has now become the new trend. Donald Trump, what you're going to remember from this debate is, well, I mean, I'm going to remember a lot of different things, but what a lot of people are going to remember now from this debate is not Kamala Harris's multitude of lies, although we're going to get to all that. It's not the moderators being totally biased, although we're going to get to all of that. What they're going to remember is Donald Trump saying that the immigrants are eating the dogs and eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat. And when people go to vote, they're going to be like, oh my God, I have a dog, I have a cat. I don't want Haitian immigrants eating them. I'm voting for Donald Trump. Kamala Harris, by the way, and this is the craziest thing. If you'll notice, the ABC moderator, aka David Muir, he tried to tell Donald Trump this wasn't true. Donald Trump said, oh yeah, it is. And now we're getting a multitude of reports. There have been so many news reports. There have been so many police reports. There have been so many people on the streets in Ohio with camcorders. There have been so many interviewers. YouTubers are coming out of the woodwork with all of their evidence that this is actually happening. Haitians have been throwing each other under the bus. There was another woman that did like a 6-minute TikTok about how Haitians eat cats, not just because they're hungry, but because they practice voodoo. John Legend, wife of Chrissy Teigen. Wait, husband of Chrissy Teigen? Yeah, you know what? I think she wears the pants in that relationship. John Legend, wife of Chrissy Teigen, did a whole diatribe about being from Springfield, Ohio, and how, yes, these Haitians may be eating your animals. They may be eating your dogs and cats, but the Christian thing to do would be to help them out. Help them out how? Help them say, oh, here, you give them a recipe or some charcoal briquettes? How are you supposed to help out these Haitian immigrants when they're eating your cats and dogs? I think John Legend is just jealous that he didn't come up with this idea first.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs.
It's such a catchy tune. You're gonna be singing it. Yeah, by the way, you're gonna be walking through like the grocery store later going, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, eat the cat, eat. And you're gonna have me to think, you'll either be cursing me or you'll be thanking me, but that song's gonna be stuck in your head probably all weekend. Let's be honest. Probably all weekend you're gonna hear that one running through your head because it's so catchy. But that's the story. That's the storyline. What everybody said was ridiculous and crazy and weird. And what everybody said Donald Trump was just angry and deranged and he had all these crazy conspiracy theories that he was throwing out there now has become the headline from the debate. The headline from the debate is not anything other than in Springfield, Ohio, Haitian immigrants, which Joe Biden and Kamala Harris dumped there, are eating cats and dogs. What are you going to do about it? Well, guess what? I think I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. That's what a lot of people in Ohio are saying. That's what a lot of people all over the world are saying. And TikTok is helping them out because people are posting pictures of their dogs and cats with that particular song on the behind it. And you know that the Kamala Harris campaign is going nutty. They just can't believe it. They are beside themselves. That's why they won a second debate, by the way. Kamala Harris at her rally with all the busted Kamala Harris supporters from God knows where, at her rally in North Carolina, where she packed the place with, I don't know if these people are paid, but I'm going to be honest with you. I wouldn't get on a bus and drive how many ever miles to sit and listen to Kamala Harris screech unless he was paying me some money. I don't know how much money they were handing out, but the Democrats, they have a history of paying people to do things that might otherwise that the rest of us wouldn't do. Like, for example, Antifa supporters who throw bricks through windows. They oftentimes are paid by, it used to be the Bernie Bros got paid by Soros. Now it's just Antifa. Kamala Harris herself would bail people out in Minnesota and raise money with LeBron James to bail people out of prison so they could go and destroy Minneapolis some more. So there's a long history. There's a long history of the Democrats paying their supporters to do crazy things. And what's crazier than getting on a bus to go listen to Kamala Harris screech for a long time? But at this rally, she really wanted to let everybody know she really wanted a second debate.
2 nights ago, Donald Trump and I had our first debate. I believe we owe it to the voters to have another debate.
Okay, now we talked about this a little bit after the debate, but why is it that Kamala Harris now is so excited about a second debate? You may remember there were 3 debates on the schedule. Donald Trump proposed 3 debates. One was the Fox News debate, which never happened, so he ended up doing a town hall with Sean Hannity. The second was the debate that happened September 10th in Philadelphia, where I was camped outside. And the third debate was supposed to be later this month, I believe hosted by CBS, but I'm not 100% sure about that. And then, of course, you've also got the Tim Walz, JD Vance debate, which I'm totally stoked about. I cannot wait. JD Vance, man, this guy has become such an asset for the Donald Trump campaign. Anyone who doubted JD Vance or hated on JD Vance the first few days after he was chosen, and there were a lot of people out there, Democrats, of course, and Republicans. I saw and read and heard a lot of people on the X. I saw and read and heard from a lot of people in my DMs. I got emails from people. I had people accosting me in the street. I had people crawling into my bedroom window to tell me how much they didn't like JD Vance. And they didn't think JD Vance was the right pick. And why wouldn't they pick somebody else? Like, I don't know, Tim Scott or Byron Donalds or Carrie Lake or whatever. There's a ton of people out there that people thought would be a better choice than JD Vance. But man, JD Vance has become a superstar of the Trump campaign. And the way he handled each and every reporter in the spin room after the debate, the way he handles reporters on the road, the way he handles these Sunday shows that he's on constantly. Do you know why JD Vance hasn't been on a Sunday show in the last 2 weeks? Because he was too good. JD Vance was on as soon as he was chosen, he was on the Sunday shows every week. He was the first round, he did all the shows. He did the NBC show, the CBS show, he did the ABC show. He was on Meet the Press and Press the Meat. And no, I think Press the Meat that's a food channel. That's a food network. It doesn't matter. I think that Guy Fieri does that. But he was on Meet the Press, Press the Meat. He was on CBS Sunday, all of these things. And what he did was he just established himself as an intelligent and an articulate and a well-rounded and a smart conservative, not just politician, but debater and broadcaster. And so they stopped having him on because they didn't want him. They didn't want somebody that they couldn't make look like an idiot. They didn't want somebody that turned the tables on them. They didn't want somebody that was smarter than they were. They wanted somebody else. So JD Vance doesn't get on those Sunday shows anymore, but he is going to debate Tim Walz. And man, he's going to take Tim Walz to town because Tim Walz is nowhere near as articulate as JD Vance. And I know that because yesterday, here's what Tim Walz said about about Kamala Harris, his running mate in North Carolina.
Because this started, and I love this story, as a young prosecutor.
Wait, what? I'm sorry. Wait, what was that you said?
Because this started, and I love this story, as a young prosecutor.
As a young prostituter? Is that what I think? He was probably trying to say prosecutor, but the consensus on the internet, and the internet is never wrong. The consensus on the internet is that he said prostituter.
Young prosecutor.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I heard, raise your hand if you heard prosecutor. Yeah. Now raise your hand if you heard prostituter. Yeah, that's what I figured.
Young prosecutor.
So anyway, Tim Walz, that guy, has to go up against JD Vance in a debate. I'm very excited about that. But anyway, so Kamala wants a second debate. She says we owe it to the American people.
2 nights ago, Donald Trump and I had our first debate. And I the voters to have another debate.
Okay, now the consensus on the Kamala campaign, or the reason the Kamala campaign is saying they want another debate, is because they're saying, oh, we did such a good job. We showcased her so well. Kamala Harris came out swinging. Kamala Harris won that debate. She defeated Donald Trump. Okay, if that's the case, why do you want a second debate? If you win, nobody wants to get back up there and fight again because then they might lose. If you had a stellar performance, if you did a good job, if you got your point across, why on earth would you be demanding a second competition? You'd be like, you know what? I just won the championship. I won the gold medal. I'm the gold medal winner for the next 4 years until the next Olympics or whatever. Why on earth would you say, you know what? We should compete tomorrow and maybe I'll win another gold, but maybe I'll get a silver. Maybe I'll get a bronze. Maybe I won't win at all. You only do that if you weren't happy with your performance. If you lost, then you demand another contest. If you won, you say, thank you, I'm victorious, good night. And wouldn't you know it, Kamala Harris is the one demanding another contest. And Donald Trump is the one saying, we're good.
When a prize fighter loses a fight, you've seen a lot of fights, right? The first words out of that fighter's mouth is, I want a rematch. I want a rematch. And that's what she said. I want a rematch.
By the way, I don't want to disagree with Donald Trump, but are we really calling Kamala Harris the prize fighter in this metaphor? Is she a prize fighter? Is that what we're referring to her as now? Anyway, but he explained, and also keep in mind, Kamala's saying she had one debate, but Donald Trump has had 2 debates. Kamala Harris has only debated 1 time, but the Democrats have appeared in 2 debates, and Donald Trump was at both. If there's a second debate for Kamala, it's a third debate for Donald Trump. Donald Trump is like, I debated both people that they put up there. I debated both of you twice. I debated one of you once, the other one another time. I've already debated twice. Why would I want a third debate? Besides, I believe that I won both of them.
She immediately called for a second debate, which means that she was like a prize fighter that lost a fight. We had 2 debates, though. I had a debate with crooked Joe Biden, right? And I had another debate with her. She and crooked Joe have destroyed our country with millions of criminals and mentally deranged people pouring into the USA, totally unchecked, unvetted, and with inflation bankrupting our middle class, it has gotten bad. Everyone knows this, and all of the other problems caused by Kamala and Joe. It was discussed in great detail during the first debate with Joe and the second debate with Comrade Harris.
Yeah, and so Donald Trump's like, look, I debated Joe Biden in June, and I debated him so hard, he did so badly that you replaced him with Kamala Harris. And I said, fine, I'll debate her too. In fact, Donald Trump suggested 3 more debates for a total of 4. And Kamala Harris said, no, I will agree to 1 debate. So they had their 1 debate, and now she wants another one. And Donald Trump said, no, ain't happening.
There will be no third debate.
There will be no third debate, Kamala. Niet, to put it into words that you might understand.
There will be no third debate.
Because according to Donald Trump and according to Republicans and according to, a lot of other sources, Donald Trump actually won the debate. He had a great performance. He did exactly what he wanted to do. He went in there and he outlined why Kamala Harris is bad. He went out there and he outlined, the immigration problems. He outlined how well he did as president, how we need to turn the country around. And keep in mind, he also debated 3 people. He was fact-checked relentlessly, mostly incorrect. Most of the fact checks, by the way, that ABC did were all wrong. The whole thing about abortion and, late-term abortion and postpartum abortion that he said, that David Muir fact-checked him on, or Lindsay Davis said, we should point out, none of this is actually happening in the world. That's been proven as an incorrect or inaccurate fact check. An incorrect or inaccurate fact check. And now, Donald Trump's coming out there and saying, look, I'm not going to do this again. I've already went to CNN. I went to ABC. I'm not going to CBS so that they can lie. And Kamala Harris, she needs more support from the media. She needs to get her points across, because as well as a lot of people thought she did, and I posted an 8-minute video on my YouTube yesterday of people I met in Philadelphia who thought Kamala Harris destroyed Donald Trump, thought she did a great job, and turned a blind eye when I asked them about the moderators. There was one woman in particular, in fact, I'm just going to play you this because she was a diehard Kamala Harris supporter. And when I stopped her and I said, that's great and all, what'd you think of the moderators? She said they did a fantastic job. And I said, but wait a minute, but they only fact-checked Donald Trump. And she goes, exactly. That's right. She goes, exactly right. Here, let me play this for you. Here it is.
Definitely for Kamala Harris, and the person who's running against her is a criminal. He couldn't work anywhere, but we can have him as the president. It's ridiculous.
Well, I'm sorry, you said he couldn't work anywhere. I think he has his own company.
Could he work at McDonald's?
Oh, Kamala worked at McDonald's.
Yes, but could he?
I don't think he would want to.
He couldn't work anywhere.
Right.
Because no one would hire him.
Did you have any opinions about the moderators? A lot of folks said that they were really Team Kamala and helping her out.
I don't think they were Team Kamala. It's about time people fact check that idiot, that cult leader. It's about time.
But you don't think they should fact check Kamala because they didn't fact check her at all?
I feel like she did a good job of telling the truth.
Right. But there were times that she didn't tell the truth and they didn't call her on it.
I don't know what your agenda is. I just want to say I'm voting for Kamala Harris.
So there you go. I don't know what your agenda is, but I'm voting for Kamala Harris. A couple things she said there. By the way, she said Donald Trump couldn't get a job at McDonald's because he's a convicted felon. I'm pretty sure McDonald's hires convicted felons, right? I mean, if you're a felon, you can work at McDonald's, I think, right? Isn't that that's like one of the things? McDonald's hires anybody. I've seen the commercials. But you know what they do need to hire, though, is somebody to fix the ice cream machine because it's always broken. But then she said the moderators did a good job. Somebody needs to fact check that cult leader, is what she said. That idiot. And then when I pointed out, well, what about Kamala Harris? She did a good job of telling the truth. But what about when she didn't tell the truth? Well, I don't know what your agenda is. It was, we don't want a fair debate. We want a debate where it looks like Kamala Harris won. But did she? Because listen to what the polls are saying about Kamala Harris and Donald Trump's support after the debate. This is CBS.
And so I talked to 20 voters. Not one of them was undecided.
Wow.
Not one.
Not one. And headlines come and go, but let me tell you this. Support for former President Trump is real and resilient. I encounter that everywhere I went. And that's something the Harris campaign knows, recognizes. It's a fact in Michigan.
That's in Michigan. He talked to 20 supporters. They all had their mind made up. And he said, support for Donald Trump is real and resilient.
Support for former President Trump is real and resilient.
Yeah. I mean, that's an understatement. During the debate, look at it, Fox Business was playing this clip of the meters. You know, people, they have the dials. They get a bunch of people in a room. Some of them are Democrats. Some of them are Republicans. Some of them are independents or moderates or undecided voters. And they each have a dial. And the Republicans have a dial. And when they hear something they like, they crank it up. And a red line skyrockets. And when Republicans hear something they don't like, they crank it down, and the red line shoots down to the ground. Same thing with the Democrats. The Democrats, when they hear something they like, they turn the dial one way, and boom, the blue line goes up. And then when they hear something they don't like, and the blue line goes down. Nobody cares. We know what the Republicans are going to like. We know what the Democrats are going to like. Everybody wants to know about the yellow line, the moderates, the independents, the undecided voters, those who are neither Republican nor are they Democrat? They're not Donald Trump supporters, nor are they Kamala Harris supporters. They don't know who they're supporting. I don't know where they've been for the last 4 years, but whatever. And so listen to this. I'll kind of dictate what's going on. But when Donald Trump was speaking during one part of the debate, the red line skyrocketed, and right on its tail, right behind it, was the yellow line. And these people on Fox Business were like, whoa, that is wild.
Red is the Republican, I'm going to say. Yellow must be independent. Blue must be Democrat. Wait a minute. That yellow independent line is moving Republican. The blue line is flattening. Wait a second. Holy cow. So independents, that's very interesting. Independents thought Trump did pretty well.
I mean, independents thought Trump did really well because he did. And this isn't the first time we've seen something like this. It happened before. Listen.
It's exactly what we saw in 2016. In 2016, we saw the independents went lock and step with Republicans the entire time with Donald Trump. He did not have that in 2020. We didn't see it at all. We saw it again now, and I think it's a big difference. There's something that people don't understand is that more than 68% of Americans want change from how things are right now. Peter Doocy's right. People don't want the status quo. She's changed her slogan to moving forward because that's what people want. But how does she represent change? She hasn't answered that question. And I think it's a really big problem for her. People want to go back to the way things were under Donald Trump. They felt better. The economy was better. Immigration felt better. A lot of things felt better to them. So they're ready to go back.
Yeah, ready to go back to 2016. Now, this is important because in 2016, we were coming off of 8 years of Barack Obama. And everybody was ready for a change. 8 years of Barack Obama. And everyone said, Hillary, no thank you. We'd like a big heaping helping of Donald Trump's economic policy and his border philosophy and his nationalism. We would like to put America first for a little while. And in 2020, not only did you have the pandemic, but what else did you have? Because, you know, we'll talk about the votes and the ballot boxes and all that kind of stuff, but let's talk about the dials. She said, we did not see independent voters breaking for Donald Trump this way since 2016. And in 2020, Donald Trump was the incumbent. Donald Trump was the incumbent, and the incumbent always has a really tough time, especially during the pandemic and especially when you have the Democrats attacking that person for 4 years. And what's happening now is Kamala Harris is the incumbent. Whether she likes it or not, no matter how much she wants to tell people, I'm not the incumbent, we're moving forward, I'm not Joe Biden. We all know the fact that we know the truth. Susan Rice has told us over and over again.
Kamala Harris has been an integral architect and executor of the policies of the Biden-Harris administration.
Executor and architect of the policies of the Biden-Harris administration, which means everything wrong in this country is Kamala Harris's fault. And we don't want 4 more years of that. We would like to go back to 2016, and the independents want to go back to 2016, and that's why that dial is shooting up. And the yellow line, and it looks like mustard and ketchup, just going up together into the stratosphere, and it's very, very exciting. Mika Brzezinski from Morning Joe on MSNBC had herself a real one. She had a conniption fit. She just can't understand after that debate performance. She just doesn't get it. That's literally her quote in this. I'm about to play it for you. She looks at this polling. She looks at this information coming out of the post-debate polls. She's looking at the independents. She's looking at the undecided. She's looking at Donald Trump. She's looking at Kamala Harris, and she can't understand it.
Voters said they were glad she has a tax and economic plan, but they want to know how it will become law when Washington is so polarized. They know she wants to give assistance to first-time home buyers, but doubted that it was realistic. And Jeremy, I ask you, is their answer Donald Trump? Because I guess I see the questions. I think there was only so much that she could do in that debate in order to be as effective as she was. And I agree. There are a lot more questions. Of course, I would love to ask Kamala Harris about her leadership style and her plans and how she plans to execute. But are those undecided voters saying, I'm going to kind of lean Trump here because I want change? I don't get it.
I don't. They were leading with Trump because they want change. I don't get it. She doesn't get it. Mika Brzezinski doesn't get it. She doesn't understand. She literally just reported the story. The story is that these voters, these independent voters, heard what Kamala Harris said. They heard her saying $50,000 for first-time home buyers. Woohoo! Double the child tax credit. Yeehaw! They heard all that and they loved it. They liked it. They were like, $50,000 to go buy a home? Man, with Barack Obama, all they promised me was a free cell phone. You're giving me 50 G's? That's fantastic. They heard it. They liked it, but they don't believe it. They don't think she can do it. They think she's lying to them. Why? Because she's lying to them. They've seen it for 4 years. They've seen it for 4 years. They saw Joe Biden tell the CDC during COVID, tell everybody who owns an apartment building or owns a single family home or owns any kind of dwelling, a condominium, they are not allowed to evict somebody who doesn't pay their rent because it's a national emergency. And the CDC said, sir, we don't actually have that kind of authority. And Joe Biden said, don't worry about it. We'll do it until they tell us not to. And so the CDC put forward an eviction moratorium until it went all the way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, you can't do that. And then Joe Biden said, okay. And he did it again. And then the Supreme Court said, okay, now you're just annoying us. Now we're really, when he tried to pay off student loan debt, and Donald Trump brought this up in the debate, he said, I'm going to pay off your student loan debt. And all the people with student loans were like, yay, Joe, thanks so much. And guess what happened? Turns out it's illegal. It's unconstitutional. It doesn't fall within the purview of the executive branch of government. Joe Biden was doing another eviction moratorium. Only this time, he wasn't doing it with your rent. He was doing it with your student loan, your crippling student loan debt. He couldn't do it either. Well, the first time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. Here comes Kamala Harris, who is the architect and the executor of everything that happened during the Biden-Harris administration. And she's saying, oh, guess what I'm going to do? You thought that student loan debt thing was cool. I'm going to give you $50,000 to buy a home. I'm going to double your child tax credit. And all of these independent, undecided, moderate voters are going, that sounds awesome. We don't freaking believe you, because we were fooled before with the eviction moratorium, and we were fooled again with the student loan debt. And now we know you're lying through your teeth, lady. You are lying to us to get our vote. So yeah, it sounds great, but we don't trust you. We'd rather, you know what we'd rather? We'd rather that inflation come down and that the prices of everything come down. And we'd rather buy our own homes that are affordable and with money that we can borrow at like a 3% rate instead of a 5, 8, 10, or 15. We would rather have affordable mortgages for affordable homes and affordable groceries and gas prices. We trust Donald Trump can do it because we've seen him do it before. We all paid less taxes. I got a big fat tax check from my former company when Donald Trump reduced corporate income taxes. All of these things that Donald Trump says he's going to do, he's already done. All of these things Kamala Harris says she's going to do, don't nobody believe. And that just shows that the electorate is smarter, I think, than most people let on. Not only that, by the way, but Kamala Harris lied about a bunch of other stuff, and Donald Trump said a lot of other stuff yesterday that's going to make people like and trust him and vote for him and support him even more. And we're going to get to all of those things here in just a minute. But first, I would like to share with you a website known as markkshop.com. And a lot of people, in fact, it was so great when we went to when we had our Patriot meetup. Where is it? Here it is. When we went to our Patriot meetup, we had, it was so much fun. There were like 7 or 8 of us. It was a fantastic group. We went to the National Mechanics Bar, and it's so funny. I thought I got there early. I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to the National Mechanics Bar early, bar and restaurant early, because I know that we're having the Patriot meetup, and I'm going to scope out a little part of the restaurant. I'm going to kind of claim it, and that way, when everyone shows up, I can be like, hey guys, we're over here. Hey, come on over. Nice to meet you. So I got there, again, what I thought was early. And I walk in and half of them are already, I walk in, I hear, Mark Kaye! And there's like 5 of them in the back going, come on, join us. So they got in, whatever, they got in. I wasn't late, but I just wasn't the earliest person there. But it was a fantastic time. We had so much fun. We got some beers. We got some apps. I'm going to get into all this. We heard stories. I heard stories about, because a couple of them were Amish. There was a couple there, they were Amish, and they were just, we just had so much fun. It was incredible. But the point is that, Dot, who made her way from Western Pennsylvania, she drove about an hour and 40 minutes or something. She rolls in and she's like, and I recognize her immediately because I see her all the time on Facebook and, on YouTube and everything else. And she comes in and she's wearing a brand new Patriot shirt. In fact, I'll show you the one, and it looked amazing. Here it is. She was wearing the woman's Patriot shirt in, I want to say, this red. But it was, it was the dark, it was red. Maybe it was red. It was red. But it was this really cool kind of, it looked really cool. And I said, oh my gosh, I ordered one of those to wear tonight. It didn't even come. She goes, I got it the day before. She got it on Wednesday and the meetup was she got it on Tuesday. The meetup was on Wednesday. And I go, wow, we really we really cut it, but it was fantastic. All the Patriot gear is it looks so great. We had another guy there who brought me one of my books to sign and one of the old Mark Kaye Show shirts. But it was just so much fun. And I'll get to the stories a little later on, because when you hear the story about the Amish who rode the buggy to the strip club, you're gonna wish you were there. That's the thing. When you hear me tell the story about the Amish guy who rode the buggy to the strip club during Rumspringer, then you're gonna be like, man, I should have made the trip too. I should have been to the Patriot meetup in Pennsylvania, but we're going to do this repeatedly. We're going to have more Patriot meetups. Anytime I travel, anytime I go somewhere, we're going to try to find one. I will be in Washington, D.C. I don't know yet if it's going to fit into my schedule, but I will try my best. And maybe we can schedule another one for all of our D.C., Virginia, and Maryland peeps. If you're in that area, maybe we can come and do a Patriot meetup. But in the meantime, go to markkaye.shop.com and you can order any of this fantastic garb. There's the Brighter Future collection, the MAGA King collection, the Mark Kaye Saves the Republic collection, and of course the Patriot collection. All sorts of great stuff. .com is where you need to go. markkaye.shop.com and just load up. Just be ready for anything. Where's my camera? What did I do now? Hang on, there we go. Perfect. All right. So listen, yeah, I gotta get, there's so much news. And again, I feel bad about taking yesterday off, but there just wasn't a way for me to work it into because of the way my flight landed and because of the way I had to prepare and because we had the Patriot meetup, I wasn't able to figure out a way to get you a brand new program and also get home. And I really want to get home. So we took a travel day, but I did post a video last night, which if you didn't watch, it did really well. So I think maybe a lot of people jumped on that instead, but it was 8 minutes and it was me going around Philadelphia, talking to all these voters. A lot of them were decided already. A couple of them were undecided and said they were swayed. I asked them about Taylor Swift. None of them cared about that. But the thing about the debate was that a lot of folks said Donald Trump seemed rattled. Donald Trump seemed angry. Donald Trump seemed like Kamala Harris was getting under his skin. And it didn't seem to matter to the voters, but to the Kamala Harris supporters, a lot of them were like, oh, it was glorious. She mopped the floor with him. She dominated. And Donald Trump brought that up yesterday when he was in Tucson, Arizona, talking to a sold-out rally. And he said, people said I was angry. Yeah, I was.
People said that I was angry at the debate. Angry. I was angry. And yes, I am angry because he allowed 21 million illegal aliens invading our communities. Many of them are criminals. Many are criminals. I'm angry. I'm angry.
And then the chants of USA, USA, which you're at a Trump rally when they start chanting USA. They don't do that at Kamala Harris rallies. They can't seem to figure it out. And he said, yeah, I was angry. I was angry because I go out there and I'm going to have a debate and I'm hearing about all these illegal immigrants. And I'm hearing about, of course, the dogs and the cats that are being eaten in Ohio. And that's something that makes me mad. And it should have made them mad too.
Likewise, the small 4,000 person town of Charleroi, Pennsylvania. Have you heard of it? Charleroi. What a beautiful name. But it's not so beautiful now, has experienced a 2,000% increase in the population of Haitian migrants under Kamala Harris. So Pennsylvania, remember this when you have to go to vote. Okay, just remember this. 2,000% increase. This is a small town. All of a sudden, they got thousands of people. The schools are scrambling to hire translators for the influx of students who don't speak not a word of English, costing local taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And that's the part they don't even talk about. They dump these Haitian immigrants, 20,000, into Ohio. They leave them there. And then and this is the federal government. This is Kamala Harris. This is Joe Biden. This is the immigration czar. Instead of fixing the border or shutting down the border or going to fix the root causes of migration, which she said she was trying to do for God knows how long, she just dumps these people in Ohio without any federal aid. And then the people in Ohio have to pay up. They have to pay extra taxes, and their tax dollars, which should be going to emergency services and their own schools, are now going to hire translators. I assume French, isn't that what they speak in Haiti? Port-au-Prince. They need some French translators because these kids don't speak any English and they've got to go to school. And then, of course, let's not forget about the eating of the dogs and the cats.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
By the way, I have a question. I'm allergic to cats. Like if a cat comes up to me, I start sneezing. If a cat scratches me, it's like, I mean, you want to talk about cat scratch fever. It just wells up. And I don't like cats anyway because I hear that they steal babies' breath. But, I don't want anyone eating them. But I'm allergic to cats. If I'm allergic to cats, just their fur and their dander, does that mean that I'd be really allergic if I ate one? Like would my esophagus kind of close up? Is it like a peanut butter or a peanut allergy? Like if you eat peanut butter, you need an EpiPen to restart I don't know what it is. But anyway, so that's that's what's going on in Ohio. And Donald Trump said, yes, I was angry. I'm angry by the immigration. I'm angry by the law breaking. I'm angry that the citizens of the United States are being taken advantage of. I'm angry that the federal government is not protecting the citizens of the United States. And he talked about all the brutal murders and rapes. And he talked about all the influx of criminals. Of migrant crime that he says, which also ABC lied about because the numbers that Donald Trump cited were correct. There's been a massive increase in violent crime since Kamala Harris and Joe Biden took office, and a lot of it has to do with illegal immigrants and gang members. I mean, just look at what the Venezuelan gangs were doing in Aurora, Colorado, and in Chicago. This is not something we've ever experienced until Joe Biden and Kamala Harris came in and opened up the border. And that's Donald Trump saying, look, we've got to fix that problem. We also have to fix the economy. And you know what Donald Trump did? He proposed something proposed something brand new, which I got to be honest with you, is this I think may be even better than no tax on Social Security and no tax on tips. This may be even better than that. He proposed yesterday. Well, I'll just let him tell you.
I'm also announcing that as part of our additional tax cuts, we will end all taxes on overtime.
Okay, now I'm not an overtime worker. I'm what people call an undertime worker. I try to work as little as possible and make as much money as I can in that time. I try to find ways to work less and make more. That's my whole thing. But I understand that overtime workers are a hugely important part of our population. And I know a lot of people who worked overtime, and they worked overtime because they were looking for ways to make more money. They were looking for time and a half. They were looking for this, that, and the other. Sometimes the boss just made them work overtime. You ever have those situations where people are like, look, there's no one else to work. You need to come in. Like, I need you to come in, which is illegal, but they guilt you into it. I worked with a lot of people who they would tell me that I have to work that. I'm like, why are you working so much? They tell me that I have to. And I said, what? I had one person I worked with actually say, if I don't work all this overtime, they're going to fire me. And I said, why? And they go, they don't have anyone else to work. And I said, listen to what you're saying. They don't have anyone else to work. So why would they fire you? You're the only one working here. If they fire you, they have nobody to do the work. And that person was like, I can't chance it. And I was like, if you stopped working the overtime, maybe they'd go out and hire some more people. I digress. I'm off on a rant. Donald Trump says, look, removing overtime taxes creates a brand new workforce.
I'm also announcing that as part of our additional tax cuts, we will end all taxes on overtime. It gives the companies it's a lot easier to get the people. And, I went to some economists, great ones, and I said, what do you think? They said, it would be unbelievable. You'll get a whole new workforce by doing that. No taxes on overtime. The people who work overtime are among the hardest working citizens in our country. And for too long, no one in Washington has been looking out for them. Those are the people that really work. They're police officers, nurses, factory workers, construction workers, truck drivers, and machine operators. It's time for the working man and woman to finally catch a break, and that's what we're doing because this is a good one. And I think it's going to be.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be great. It's gonna be fantastic. All those overtime workers who aren't getting taxed on their overtime pay. That's going to be incentivize people to want to work overtime. And he's right. It's going to create a whole new workforce. Overtime will no longer become a bad word. OT will no longer be a 4-letter word. It's going to become something that people are volunteering for, and we're going to get so much more done as a result. And Donald Trump says this is part of what we need to do. So Donald Trump is constantly coming up with new ideas to make his financial goals a reality, to make his economic success a reality, to make America richer and stronger and safer, and to make America great again, which is what he talked about with the debate and his monumental victory over Kamala Harris.
As everyone saw 2 nights ago, we had a monumental victory over Comrade Kamala Harris in the presidential debate. We won big with independent voters, moderates, Republicans, and working people all across this nation, putting forward a clear vision to very simply make America great again.
And what is Kamala Harris doing on the flip side of that? She's not only ripping off Joe Biden's failed policies, but she's lying about the policies of Donald Trump. Do you remember during the debate, she talked about this Goldman Sachs report, and she said something along the lines of, well, I have it right here, as a matter of fact.
Goldman Sachs says my plan would grow our economy and his plan would shrink it.
Okay, Donald Trump's plan is not going to shrink the economy, and Kamala Harris's plan is not going to grow the economy. So I want to know who these Goldman Sachs people are that are saying this. Well, wouldn't you know it, the CEO of Goldman Sachs was asked about this report. He goes, whoa, wait a minute, lady. That is not at all what we said.
That report, which was mentioned last night in the debate, came from an independent analyst. And it's interesting, Scott. I think a lot more has been made of this than should be. What the report did is it looked at a handful of policy issues that have been put out by both sides, and it tried to model their impact on GDP growth. And the reason I say a bigger deal's been made of it is what it showed is the difference between the sets of policies that they put forward was about 0.2%. Okay, so economy grows. Okay, if you took these particular sets of policies they looked at, and by the way, we have no idea whether these policies, these things that are talked about, will ultimately be implemented. What was the growth impact? And the differential was 0.2%. So, I think our clients are trying to look at what's going on from a policy perspective and make judgments. I think this blew up into something that's bigger than what it was intended to be.
That's what happens when you lie. You blow something up into something bigger than it's intended to be. So this independent report, which wasn't even from Goldman Sachs, took a look at Kamala Harris's economic plan and Donald Trump's economic plan and said they will both grow the economy. The difference between the two is 0.2% growth. So while they both grow the economy, one of them will grow the economy by 0.2% more than the other. We can only assume, because I haven't read the report, that Kamala Harris's economic plan was the one that had the extra 0.2%. Hence the fabrication, if you will, that she said Goldman Sachs says my plan will grow the economy and Donald Trump's will shrink it. The fact of the matter is, they'll both grow the economy, but Kamala's plan will only grow it by 0.2% more. Oh, but as the CEO of Goldman Sachs so conveniently points out, that's only if these policies are implemented, and we know that these policies will probably never be implemented, and we know that the voters don't believe that these policies will ever be implemented because of that report that is still baffling to Morning Joe's Mika Brzezinski.
Voters said they were glad she has a tax and economic plan, but they want to know how it will become law when Washington is so polarized. They know she wants to give assistance to first-time home buyers, but doubted that it was realistic. And Jeremy,
you know what this is the difference. It's like when somebody comes up to you and says, "I'll bet you $1 million bajillion that I can blah 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 blah," and you go, "I'll take that bet," and then they fail, and you go, "Give me the million bajillion dollars." They go, "I was just kidding." This is that. Kamala Harris's plan, her great economic plan that Goldman Sachs supposedly said would grow the economy while Donald Trump's would shrink it. Her amazing plan that if implemented, if somehow unicorns and fairies were able to come down here and make her plans of doubling the child tax credit and offering $50,000 to first-time homebuyers, if that were anywhere in the realm of possibility, based on what we've seen from Kamala Harris's past experience with, well, economics, it would only be 0.2 of 1%. So, and nobody believes it's going to happen anyway. Yet she's out there touting it. Another thing she lied about, do you remember when she talked about how great she is with foreign policy and how she's such a brilliant leader and how Joe Biden has made the world safer? And she lied about there being no soldiers in harm's way in active combat regions. Well, CNN, not the most factually, not a network known for facts, they fact-checked her and found that to be incorrect. And they invited our good friend, Congressman Mike Walz on, who is a former Green Beret and sits on all of the military committees in Congress. They invited him on, and man, he went through a litany of different ways that Kamala Harris was lying.
There was a particularly important comment that Harris made that our fact checkers found misleading. Here it is.
And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century.
You, I should note, are the first former Green Beret in Congress. What did you think of that moment?
Well, I about fell out of my chair. I immediately thought of the 3 soldiers from Georgia who were killed by Iranian-backed missiles and drones in Jordan. I thought of the 2 Navy SEALs who died trying to intercept Iranian smugglers off the coast of Somalia. I thought about the ships that have been used as target practice by the Houthis with drones and anti-ship missiles supplied by Iran. Heck, an aircraft carrier just got a combat medal for the first time since World War II for its actions off the Red Sea. We could keep going down the list. The special operators that are in Syria right now as we speak. We just had 6 wounded in a raid on an ISIS compound. We had another 6 wounded by a missile attack. I mean, this is a long list.
And not only is it disrespectful to all of those servicemen and women, which, let's be honest, we know that Kamala Harris and her administration, they don't care about disrespecting veterans. I mean, we all read John Kirby's email, and if you didn't, I'll get to that in a minute. But we know that they have disrespect and disdain for the American military, and they know that they want these wars to be happening. They want there to be active war zones because that's how they make all of their money, with these endless wars. And if you don't believe me, just ask Nancy Pelosi and check out her stock portfolio and see how much stock she has in Northrop Grumman and Boeing and all these other companies that provide the war effort constantly. But we know that she's lying about that, but it's disrespectful. And of course, it's dishonest because she's trying to make you think that she can keep the peace when the opposite is true. And he's right about all of that. The USS Carney, which is docked, which is based right here in Mayport, the Naval Station Mayport, right here in Jacksonville, Florida, right down the road from my house. They were shot at for weeks upon weeks, and they were not allowed to fire back. They were only allowed to offensively shoot drones out of the sky, but they were not allowed to attack the drones before they even got into the sky in the first place. So these drone attacks were coming at the USS Carney, and for days, repeatedly, they had to shoot these things, just go to town. It was target practice. And finally, they came back. You're telling me that's not an active war zone? She has no idea what she's talking about, which means she wasn't in the room. She wasn't in the sit room. She wasn't involved in all of these national security discussions as she's laid claim to have been, or she was and she just forgot, or she's lying. Probably the latter. Listen, but I should bring up the John Kirby thing, because John Kirby, if he were a Republican, his career would be over. But he's a Democrat, so he'll probably get some kind of commendation, or he'll get some kind of, I don't know, promotion. If John Kirby, a lot of people thought John Kirby was going to be the new Karine Jean-Pierre. Can I get this ASPCA thing out of here? Everyone thought John Kirby was going to be the new Karine Jean-Pierre when they were going to get rid of Karine Jean-Pierre. Then they forgot. Oh yeah, Karine Jean-Pierre is a black lesbian woman. There's no way, they can't get rid of her ever. They have to wait for her to leave. So Karine Jean-Pierre is secure about a black lesbian woman in a Democratic cabinet or in a Democrat position like press secretary. It's about the safest job you're going to have until, of course, the election rolls around. So John Kirby is stuck doing all this other stuff. Well, he sent an email He replied all to an email. He thought it was an internal reply, but there was a Fox News reporter on it. And he wrote, let me read this. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby accidentally told the truth about the Biden-Harris view of the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. When members of the armed forces criticize you, arrogantly double down. They got a letter, obviously, from some veterans group that was upset. They were slamming the botched Afghanistan withdrawal. Here's what John Kirby wrote in his reply all. Obviously no use in responding. A handful of vets indeed, and all of one stripe. So when you have angry vets who are mad that American soldiers were killed in combat, John Kirby says, you know what, just ignore them. Yeah, obviously you don't need to respond to this one. Just hit delete. Just put it in the waste paper bin because we're not concerned. We're not concerned with the veterans at all. And that would not be surprising to anybody who's had to deal with the Biden administration. But again, a little surprising that he's still in a job. Speaking of still in a job, the Secret Service, and I want to play this before we get out of here. The Secret Service is under the microscope of the U.S. Congress because somebody almost got assassinated under their watch. The U.S. Secret Service was supposed to be protecting the life of Donald Trump. And Donald Trump went to Butler, Pennsylvania for a rally. And when he was in Butler, Pennsylvania for a rally, a shooter with a large rifle somehow smuggled it into the secure area, shimmied up onto a rooftop in broad daylight. And the Secret Service agents who were supposed to be watching that rooftop, and the Secret Service agents who were supposed to be securing the area, and the Secret Service agents who evidently ignored the crowd chanting, he's on the roof, he's on the roof, he's got a gun, he's got a gun. Those Secret Service agents allowed bullets trained on the former president to fly out of the barrel of that weapon and hit Donald Trump in the right ear, almost killing him. He survived the assassination attempt. They got him to the hospital, and they were able to take out the shooter. A lot of questions still remain. A lot of questions will remain, but there's a congressional investigation. Senator Blumenthal from, I believe, Connecticut. Someone's going to tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that's Richard Blumenthal from Connecticut. Is the American lawyer? From Connecticut. Thank you. Since 2011. He's old. He's 78, by the way. All these people in the Democrat Party, they're there forever. But anyway, so Senator Blumenthal's there, and he comes out of a meeting where they're discussing the Secret Service. This guy's a Democrat, lifelong, from Connecticut. He's about as Democrat as you can get. Listen to what he told reporters. I'm shocked by this.
I think the American people are going to be shocked, astonished, and appalled by what we will report to them about the failures by the Secret Service in this assassination attempt on the former president. But I think they also ought to be appalled and astonished by the failure of the Department of Homeland Security to be more forthcoming, to be as candid and frank as it should be to them in terms of providing information. And we are going to absolutely insist on the truth and the whole truth in documents and testimony as members of the United States Senate, but also as citizens.
Okay, so this is wild to me. This is Senator Blumenthal, a Democrat, coming out and telling reporters the American people are going to be shocked. They're going to be shocked when we tell them what we found out about the Secret Service and their lack of protocol and their flubs and their mismanagement of the event in Butler. They're going to be shocked when they see the dereliction of duty that went on with the U.S. Secret Service and former President Donald Trump at this rally in Butler where he was almost assassinated. That's a Democrat saying that. He went on to say, also, they'll be shocked at their lack of transparency and the way that they have not yet been forthcoming in the info. And we are going to demand every single piece of paper. We're going to demand every report. We're going to demand testimony from all of them. We are going to get to the bottom of this, and we are going to demand that they answer for what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. It must have been worse than we ever thought. It must have been way worse than we ever thought for a Democrat to come out and say something like this. I would never have expected. He went on.
New today when you said they're going to be appalled.
I'm not going to go into what we have learned in specifics. I'm giving you my reaction. And we will have a report very, very soon that I think will absolutely shock the American people, or it should, about the lapses and lags in the protection that was afforded that day and the breakdown in communication, failure in responsibility.
Is that report coming today or tomorrow?
I'm sorry?
Is that report coming out tonight or tomorrow?
No.
No, of course not. There's an election. We're going to have that report for you probably sometime after the election. We don't want another James Comey email scandal. We don't want this to be the October surprise that makes Donald Trump, just stroll right on into the White House. We'll save it. We'll wait till after the election, and then we'll bring you the report on the lapses and lags and lack of communication in the Secret Service that led to the events in Butler, Pennsylvania, in June that almost took the life of former President Donald Trump. Now, this is interesting that he would say this, and I can only imagine there's a couple of reasons. Number one is maybe, just maybe, they realize, that Donald Trump is a shoo-in at this point, that the moderates are breaking for Donald Trump, that Donald Trump is going to win the swing states and he's going to be the president, and maybe they should probably do something about the Secret Service before he gets into office. Maybe they should look like that they care. Maybe they should look like they're pretending to work on something and make some changes before Donald Trump returns, and then maybe Donald Trump will be more willing to work with them. Or, like I said, maybe, just maybe, they think Kamala Harris is going to win and they want to make sure that nobody's able to take her out. So they want to make sure that the Secret Service and everybody who is involved in this horrendous dereliction of duty is taken to task. I don't know, but I would like to see this report. I'd like to hear what they've heard, and I'd like to have it sooner than later. I don't imagine that'll be the case. Listen, we've got so much. There's a Donald Trump press conference coming up later today. Over the weekend, there's more rallies and there's more speeches, and God knows what else is going to happen. But we will be here every single day from now till Election Day. We're going to be we're going to D.C. I told you, Mike Walz, who you just heard from, Congressman Mike Walz, has offered up his office. Now, fun fact, I don't know if he's going to be there. I was talking to his schedulers. He's like, we just scheduled him. He's got an event with JD Vance he's got to go to. He may not even be in town, but you can use his office. So we may be broadcasting live from Mike Walz's office and totally without any kind of supervision, which actually, I'll be honest with you, I don't hate, but we're going to be up at the Capitol. We're going to be doing all kinds of fantastic stuff. And that's going to happen in a couple of weeks. Next week, we'll be here. The week after, we're going to go to D.C. In October, there's a huge event in Orlando with Donald Trump Jr. and Matt Gaetz and Tony Robbins, who's becoming a conservative, and a bunch of other high-profile conservatives that I just got invited to. And we're going to go down there, and we're going to broadcast. We're going to bring you interviews. We're in this to win this. We are in this to win this every single day. And all you need to do to help, all you need to do to make sure that because a lot of people always say, what can we do? How do we help? How do we make sure that they don't cheat? How do we make sure that we win? How do we make sure that people vote? All you have to do is share what we're doing here. It's great that we have 1,700 people watching us on Rumble, 800 people watching us on YouTube, another 600-700 people watching us on various other different platforms. It's great that every single day we get like thousands and thousands of podcast downloads, and that number is skyrocketing. Our podcast growth looks like that chart we showed you with the dials during Donald Trump's debate performance. Everybody's finding Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, downloading Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, and sharing it. And that's really the most important part. Think about sharing this podcast, sharing my videos. Whenever you share a video or a podcast or a live stream or anything at all, it's like you are going out there standing on the corner and registering new voters. You're going out there and proselytizing. Everything I just spent the last 68 minutes saying that you thought was really good information and really substantial. And man, if only my whack job cousin, who for some reason thinks Kamala is the better choice, if only my whack job aunt who loves Kamala Harris simply because she's a woman, if my Trump hating uncle could hear this, I bet his mind would be changed. Well, great. It's easy to get this to them. Just take the link, copy it, paste it, send it to them, email, text message, put it on your Facebook page, wherever. because we need to grow this movement. We need to make sure that we save the United States of America, not just for ourselves, and not just for our children, and not just for our financial futures, and not just for our posterity, but apparently also for our dogs and cats.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
They're eating the dogs. Eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
They're eating the cat.
We got that's it, folks.
The dogs.
Eat the cat. Eat the cat. Woo!
Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
That's right.
Eat the cat.
Eat the cat. Do it for the pets. Do it for your dogs. Do it for your cats. Share this message. And that's the only way we're going to grow. That's the only way we're going to get the numbers. That's the only way we're going to win. That's the only way we are going to save the Republic.